This WUSA 9 Weather Impact Alert is sponsored by Morgan & Morgan.
Good Tuesday morning. I'm meteorologist Joe Spear. We are looking at a weather impact alert for today. Second half of today is going to carry a pretty solid chance of seeing some scattered storms, and a lot of them have a decent chance of getting a little strong today. So a lot of weather impacts are on the table throughout today, so it's extremely important of having ways of getting alerts. Make sure that you are going to be well prepared as we head towards the end of today. And regardless, looking at a decent amount of wet and stormy weather trying to work in by the time most of us are heading home here for this evening. Looking outside right now, we're starting off with just a little bit of spotty wet weather here in a few areas. Some places in eastern Maryland have seen some wet weather work by so far, but for the rest of us, if you're not looking at the wet weather outside, you're pretty muggy and the temperatures are pretty high. So we got a lot of us starting off in the mid 70s, a lot of cloud cover, humidity is starting to build in. Again, that's going to be the fuel for a lot of this stuff that's working in for the second half of today. We have some spotty showers to start by the afternoon, looking more scattered to almost widespread activity working in towards the end of today. Temperatures get higher. We are going to watch numbers lift up more towards average for this time of year. So we're touching up to about 91 here in D.C., 89 over in Leesburg, 80s for most of Maryland, 90s for most of Virginia. So it is going to be a little bit warmer down towards the south. The 3 out of 5 risk of strong to severe weather today has been expanded to cover more of the DMV. So now D.C. is included in that. It's been spread farther out towards parts of or at least the majority of Maryland as well. Just a few areas in the southern portion of Virginia are going to stay at that 2 out of 5. So how is this shaping up as we go throughout the rest of today? Again, still a little bit of isolated wet weather to get through here for this morning, but most of us are going to stay relatively dry. At the very least, the road is going to be a little bit more on the damp side as you're heading out. Even if it's not actively raining, I would grab something to keep you a little bit drier as you're heading towards the second half of the day. Afternoon tries to dry out before by about, again, 2-3 o'clock, we start to see some of this activity start to work into the area. This isn't the best time frame to see some of that severe weather. It's mostly towards the evening, right once we get a few hours before sundown. So even by 5 o'clock, we have some pretty solid showers working across the area, and then we're just looking at these scattered lines continuing to roll through. So a second one building up to the north by about 7. That starts to work its way across the DMV closer to about sundown. So again, hopefully most of us are settled at that point before more of this wet weather starts to work by. That continues to shift down towards the south by about midnight. Again, some of us will still be dealing with some of these storms after midnight tonight. We're still rolling with a little bit of more wet and stormy weather heading into the start of Wednesday, but thankfully, most of that stays away from the potential of turning severe. Decent amount of wet weather trying to fall throughout today. So again, aside from the risk of severe weather, I would also keep an eye out for some isolated flooding. We have, on average, the DMV trying to pick up about 1/4 to a 1/2 inch here in some spots. Again, some very, very isolated totals. We'll see a ton of rain, but it is the winds that will be the big thing to watch out for here in the way of severe weather risks. We have a pretty solid chance of seeing some strong to damaging winds. All risks are possible today, though, so some isolated hail or even a spin-up tornado are possible as we go throughout the rest of today. So again, extremely critical to have ways of getting alerts. Temperatures are going to start to taper a little bit heading into Wednesday. Again, a wet start to the day tomorrow, but just looking at more clouds in general. Trying to stay a little bit more unsettled here over the weekend. Not a guaranteed chance of seeing rain at this point, but we're working up to some higher chances for the beginning of next week. So again, weather impact alert for today, given the setup that we had by this afternoon and evening. 1 or 2 showers and storms left over to start off Wednesday. A lot nicer of a forecast here towards the end of this week. A lot more sunshine for Thursday. Low 80s here to end off this week as well. Friday, Saturday, a couple more clouds back in the area, but again, still should be fairly nice here across the area. By the time we head into Sunday, temperatures lifting up into the mid 80s, a little bit warmer, a little stormier heading into the start of next week.